Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut is joining us. He's a key member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Lots to discuss. Let's start with this. The president spent 12 minutes railing against the Rodger Stone verdict today, all in public. He then went on to attack the Justice Department and the criminal justice system. Based on everything you heard from the president today, what do you think is going to happen now?
Well, Wolf, what we're seeing here is just a wholesale deterioration of the institutions that we rely on to keep our democracy strong. The Republican Party now has become a cult in support of the president. The United States Senate, and their failure to even call witnesses in the trial, of course, has become a cult in support of the president. News outlets like Fox News, are urging on. You ran that Tucker Carlson clip. Behavior that by any other president they would regard as corrupt. And of course, we see this now in the Justice Department with the Attorney General acting as the president's attorney, and of course the nomination of Ambassador Grinnell, a man with zero intelligence experience, to sit atop the intelligence community of the United States. All of this is an attempt to turn the United States government into an instrument for a deeply corrupt president. And amidst this, we hear Judge Jackson's words. And the judiciary, of course, may be the last bulwark standing between us and, the entire government being a tool for President Trump. We hear the words of Judge Jackson saying that the truth is still there and the truth matters, and trying to clear up some of this stuff. But honestly, it's a pretty ugly, I was going to say day, but several weeks since Trump has been unchained by the Senate's acquittal. And tacit endorsement of his corrupt behavior.
As you know, Congressman, the Attorney General, William Barr, has been privately threatening to resign if the president were to continue to publicly comment on these various criminal cases. But after the president's comments today, is it time, do you believe, for Barr to make good on that threat?
Well, Wolf, I can't tell you how tired I am at this moment of crisis in our democracy. And when the president is reaching into individual court cases and talking about individual jurors, had that happened 4 years ago, it would be a 3-week news cycle. Now it's just Donald Trump's afternoon activity. So I'm completely unimpressed by people scratching their chin like the Attorney General and saying, gosh, this is hard. Or Susan Collins of Maine saying, I'm so concerned. This is the time for patriots to stand up and say that this is not okay in our democracy. This is what... There are still months left in Donald Trump's first term. We can talk about whether there will be a second term. There are months left. And if people who don't value the institutions of American democracy don't stop scratching their chin or making excuses or rationalizing behavior, this democracy will slip away. So you know what? If the Attorney General wants to salvage whatever shred of his reputation remains, he shouldn't just talk about how hard his job is. He should stand up and say, I care about the Constitution, I resign, and I'm going to tell my story about the bastardization of a hitherto independent institution in this country.
There's a related development unfolding right now. The New York Times, Congressman, has just moved a story. Let me read the headline and the lead for you. The headline is, Russia backs Trump's re-election, and he fears Democrats will exploit its support. Here's the lead of the New York Times story. Intelligence officials warned House lawmakers last week that Russia was interfering in the 2020 campaign to try to get President Trump reelected. 5 people familiar with the matter said in a disclosure that angered Mr. Trump, who complained that Democrats would use it against him. This is your Intelligence Committee. There was this briefing. Tell us about that, what you can.
Wolf, I really can't tell you about things that happen behind closed doors in the Intelligence Committee, so I can't confirm that story. I can't go to what was said there. But it is worth the American public thinking about the question of, what does Vladimir Putin want? Does Vladimir Putin want a traditional American president who respects the intelligence community, who stands up for NATO, who doesn't berate our allies, who, like the current president, might actually criticize Russia? Or would Vladimir Putin perhaps think that the divisiveness and the polarization and the questions of our allies and the failure to, secure an agreement with North Korea and the instability in Iran and the Middle East, is it possible that Vladimir Putin might say, hey, that's actually pretty good? It's a hypothetical, but if he were thinking that way, how concerned do you think that Vladimir Putin might be that President Trump would call out that behavior? Of course the president wouldn't call out that behavior. In fact, based on the performance that we saw in the previous campaign, there's a very good chance that the president would welcome Vladimir Putin's assistance in his reelection. But again, I can't obviously comment on the specifics or anything that was said behind closed doors in the Intelligence Committee.
We're going to have a lot more on this story in the New York Times. Maggie Haberman, one of the co-authors of the story, she's going to be joining us momentarily. Very quickly, before I let you go, I know you can't provide details. It's a classified, closed-door briefing. But can you simply confirm that a briefing like this occurred?
Wolf, I don't want to go there. Again, there's a reason why this is all done behind closed doors. So sorry, but I don't want to go there.
I understand completely. All right, Congressman Jim Himes, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to have a lot more on the breaking news right now that's unfolding. Maggie Haberman, she's standing by. She'll report on what she has learned about this briefing before the House Intelligence Committee. Much more on that, much